We come to you this Black History Month, bringing together 6 of our esteemed financial advisors to showcase their perspectives on being a financial advisor, being independent, being a business owner, and being a part of the Black community in this industry. We'll share stories, experiences, insights, and go around the table to highlight this community of advisors. Our advisors come from all walks of life, different career journeys, and they are all building their businesses in different ways. We'll cover how they came to be financial advisors, what unique challenges they face as Black advisors, why they chose the independent advisor path, and how we as an industry can better support the Black community. All right, so let's shift to talking about the part of the industry that you're all in, but seems to even be more highly impacted by a lack of diversity, the independent advisor space. All of you navigated your careers as advisors in different ways before starting an independent practice or your path to independence. So what ultimately made you choose to go the independent route? What makes independence right for you?
Well, I can say for me, one of the things why I left the previous firm was because I looked at the percentage of money that I was getting and how hard I was working for that small percentage, and said, people are not coming to me for that name, they're coming to me for me. And if I'm able to do more marketing in multiple ways, so I can do seminars, I can do social media, videos, things like that, and I can just put my name out there, I can make up for the clients that I had lost, but keep a similar amount of revenue. And then at the same time, build a firm that's focus was focusing on the underserved from an advisor standpoint. So more people could come on board. I can take some of the compliance burden off of them so that they can become independent without having to worry about the stuff, the office space, the phones, the internet, and all that. So taking that burden off, getting more people that look like me in the business, and being able to grow my business and make money was the reason why I went independent. And chose LPL, great story, largest independent broker dealer in the country. And the technology that was being rolled out and the improvements that I've seen, I would say every quarter that I've been here since 2016, I mean, I have no complaints. And so having that platform and trying to be an advocate, this is the way to go on the independent side, and being able to run your business the way you see fit, whether it be products or service, you can do it however you want. And me being able to have multiple streams of revenue is key.
Yeah, that was important for me as well. It was just the ability to run your practice the way you want to, and just it was the ownership. I think just from a business perspective, as Black professionals, there's a lot of times where we don't own anything. And to come into an industry and be independent where you feel like, or you do own something, you have more control over how you want to build your practice. And I was just, I had the creative and the marketing background, and it was hard for me to stay in this box and not feel like my voice was in everything that I was doing, and I couldn't really put my story into my practice and communicate that in the way that I wanted to. For me, it was just kind of a no-brainer to be able to just not only own it, be paid the way that you should be paid, right? If you're going to put your blood, sweat, and tears into something, I think that should be reflective of how you're continuing to grow and to build. And then also, again, being able to work with the clients that I wanted to work with, and I felt like I couldn't do that at other institutions, and being on the independent side made it so much easier for them to just see me and not necessarily see the wall that I was forced to kind of put up. But they were able to see me and build just beautiful relationships from there, and that was really important.
I know for me, being independent was never, not being independent was never even an option. One of the things that I had said earlier, my division was sold, and that put a bad taste in my mouth. It's like, how can you impact my life that directly by you making decisions? So for me, it was all about, there's something I feel I'm called to do, and I'm going to have to do it my way. It was never even an option to, go to a wirehouse or anything like that, because I needed, for my own personal purpose is I needed to make sure that I was the one that was in control of what I do, how I do it, and my own personal destiny for that matter.
When I was affiliated with the broker-dealer, the wirehouse, the firm resulted in me losing a very large $15 million client because of their rigid structure. And when that happened, it was, at the time, it felt like the worst thing that happened, but it was actually the best, because it is what propelled me to seek independence. Because it was in that moment that I had that same epiphany that Karen just spoke of, whereas I was just determined that I was no longer going to allow a firm to have that much control over my destiny, nor my income producing potential. And that was it for me. Once that happened, I was at LPL within 6 months. And now that client is my client again, and they're now a $37 million client. So it took for me to have to experience that, because I would get calls from recruiters all the time. I mean, several calls a week, probably almost close to every day. It was, no, I'm good, thank you very much, I'm good, because you don't know what you don't know. And I wouldn't listen, I wouldn't take the calls. But once that happened, I started calling them back, and I started searching through my email for the word independence. And as I did that, they were lining up. And I started to seek out the absolute best. I needed to be with the biggest and the best. I knew for the clients I had, because it was going to be an independent type of affiliation, I knew that I needed that independent firm to have some strong foothold in the community and in the industry, so that my clients could Google and research them and see that they're real, that Danica knows what she's talking about, she's not gonna lead us astray. And I was very happy. It's the absolute best professional decision of my career.
I know for me, I started off in the industry as a team player. I was 88. I didn't know what independence was. I just know I wanted to be in the industry. And I worked at my prior firm for 13 years. And during that time, they got bought out by another firm. And then we were told what we can sell, what we couldn't sell. And I just felt that was a bad taste in my mouth. I remember every year that sour taste in my mouth as I had to go back for negotiations for compensation. And whether or not I was going to get paid based on the way I did business. In other words, they would set these benchmarks for the team. I'm producing 90% of the revenue of the team. Why am I not getting a bonus or increased compensation based on my personal production? I'm a slow learner. It took me 25 years to decide to go independent. And it was my wife who said, you got all these trophies that they're giving you every year. But yet, and you're getting all these club levels, and they're sending you all these exotic places just so you can get up at 7 in the morning and go to a meeting and then be let loose at 3 o'clock. I don't care if you're in Banff or if you're in Ireland. You got money, you can go to Ireland. So they're ripping you off. And when I realized that independence tripled that, like Brian said earlier, you mean I could take a third of my clients and make the same money? I mean, really? And here I am thinking, how am I going to do 5 appointments a day, 5 days a week, and I'm really getting paid no money for the extra work I was doing? And then to go to a firm where compliance isn't gotcha, it is, here are the guardrails that we have to take. You're an adult, you're running your practice, follow the guardrails, and if you don't, we'll counsel you and say, you know what, here's what you should have done. And then you say, great, and you do it. You're treated like an adult. And that is the success story of going independent, why I chose LPL. Like Danica said, I wanted the biggest and the baddest. I did my research, they're the biggest, but they also are flexible and allow you to build your business and partner with other professionals and run it your way.
Well, it sounds like you all would agree that the path to independence is worth it on the other side. But I would like to touch on, for any advisors who may be watching that may be apprehensive about going independent, were there some challenges that you faced in transitioning your book to an independent model, and how do you face and overcome those challenges?
I think having a specific plan for your marketing and having all your systems in place to not only manage your clients, but also take on the new clients is of utmost importance. So having those systems in place day one, and then executing on those, making sure you have support where you need it. LPL is great. If you don't want to hire somebody, you can have the remote, the virtual assistant, the marketing program that they have. Those are great, but having the specifics around, okay, this is my CRM. This is our opening account process. This is our monthly follow-up process. And then from an acquisition piece, what are the 2 or 3 marketing channels that you want to be good at, and who's your audience? That's the biggest question, and one of the areas that I see most, and that was hard for me, is figuring out, I need more than people that can just fog a mirror. You want to take on anybody you can when you first start, but having a niche so that people know who you help. If you help everybody, you don't really help anybody.
Yeah, and remembering that it's a business and you have to treat it like a business. I think some people forget that when you're in this industry, especially when you've been on the institutional side and you're kind of trying to make the move over, you have to kind of put yourself in more of a business ownership mindset of doing all the things that Brian just said, right? It's just going back to old school business of thinking through your target market. What is your business plan? What are your operation processes? And those are probably the things that people are scared to really sit down and think about and do, right? Because that's where a lot of the kind of unsexy work comes in, right? Where you actually have to do the work about focusing on the business. And I remember when I first moved over, I mean, you're talking to your clients and a lot of them are really excited about this new endeavor. And it's all about how you kind of spin that and share that with them and, let them know that, hey, I'm making this decision, not just for myself, but also for you, right? This is something that is going to continue to help you and as we continue to grow together. So all of those planning is critical and vital to moving.
I think one thing for quickly to add, what LPL did that really helped me was they gave me transition assistance. Okay, you don't understand how difficult it is to go to that secure paycheck. And for them to give me enough compensation that I knew that I had 2 years to transition my book over, those that were appropriate, and pay the startup cost of having an office and the computers and everything else. That transition assistance was vital, right? Because that allowed me to not worry so much about how I was going to feed my family while I had to gear up and learn how to repaper clients, learn the system, learn how to get onto ClientWorks and the annuity entry systems and all these things. So they have to understand, even though you might have been an industry professional doing it 25 years, when you change to a new systems, a new paperwork, and new processes and documents, and I have to say, when I first came over there, we had something called a BranchNet, and it wasn't very friendly, but it still has improved in the ClientWorks, and they've taken our feedback, and it's morphed, and it's getting better. But transition assistance, I think, was the best thing that LPL did for me personally, and I'm forever grateful.